What's going on YouTube? This is Jabber Tech, and this is the TicWatch Pro LTE edition. It's currently $299. That means it's $50 more than the TicWatch Pro, but this is the successor, whether you use it on LTE or not. I'm going to give you guys my full review after using this for a couple weeks, and I have not used it on LTE just because in the States, this is a Verizon only smartwatch. I do not have Verizon, and a lot of us will be purchasing this smartwatch and not even connecting it to a smart plan, should you even do that. But let's get into my review of the TicWatch Pro LTE. So this is the watch, guys. I think they did a really nice job just making an overall more refined looking smartwatch, and it is a little smaller and lighter than the original TicWatch Pro. I did a first impressions and an unboxing of this watch, so I suggest you guys check it out. Link will be up here as well as in my description down below. It also still has that same dual layer technology that you see here. This will save you a lot of battery life, but you can disable it if you don't want it at all, and you'll just be presented with the nice AMOLED screen. But the LCD screen really saves you a lot of battery life. I actually was at 3% the other day. I posted a picture up on my Instagram page. All I had to do was turn on essential mode and I was good for the entire day. And then even waking up in the next morning, I still had about 2%. Whereas if I had another smartwatch, I probably would have just had a brick on my wrist. So the essential mode definitely works. And it's really good for those situations where you're in a pinch, where you didn't have time to charge it, or maybe you were doing some GPS activities, which kind of drained the battery. I'll get into that in a little bit. But the overall look of the watch is really, really nice. I really like the design. I think they did a great job just kind of refining the watch and adding these little details that you can see here on the actual knobs. You can see that the power button up here and the Google Assistant button has a little ridges. It has some marks, some knurls that kind of match the knurled bezel, but it doesn't have it on the actual button down there. That button can be reassigned. I have it for Tic Health at the moment, but just the overall design of the watch is really, really nice. You have removable 22mm style bands, and I quite like that, but the actual band that it comes with is a really nice design, a really nice style. I kind of like this a lot, and it's not a cheesy band. It's actually a pretty premium quality band, so I definitely give them a thumbs up for that. Other than the overall refinements that they've done on the watch, which is a really nice job, inside is the Wear 2100 processor, coupled with 1GB of RAM. Now, a lot of you might be saying, I wish they put the 3100 in there, but I don't wish that at all. Honestly, guys, doubling the RAM from the original 512 has made a huge, huge difference. I've never had any issue with it opening anything up or with it really doing its thing. It's just been really, really a snappy watch. You do have the Play Store built in here, so you can just go ahead and quickly download some apps. And you just saw how quick that was. You just click on it and everything loads up. Everything is fluid. Everything is smooth. The extra 512 of RAM makes me not wish this had the 3100 in it. Honestly, guys, for the $50 more that you'll pay for this Pro LTE, even if you don't connect it to LTE like I haven't, that $50 more is going to give you a much better experience, a more fluid experience, really, and that is worth the $50 in my opinion. Also, let's just talk about Wear OS as a platform. While it does have quite a way to go, I think they still have to make some refinements to it. They're really doing a good job with it, and it's just getting better and better. It still is, in my opinion, one of the better wearable OSs versus something like Tizen, just because of the app support. Any app that you download from the Play Store, about 90% of those apps will have a companion app that's going to work here. So if you do have Runtastic, or you do have Strava, or you use some other type of running app, chances are it's going to work on the Wear OS device, and that's what I really like. This being a Wear OS device, you have a ton of apps on here that you can do for health tracking, but I decided just to use the Tic suite of health applications just because that's what's on the watch. You can change it, but I wanted to see out of the box how this thing would do, and they all use the same internal sensors, so they'll pretty much work exactly the same. But the Tic suite of exercises, you have an outdoor run, outdoor walk, indoor run. You also have cycling, there's freestyle, and then you have pool swimming. This is now certified IP68 with that pool swim certification as well. So for those of you that swim, you can go for a swim, track it, and then at the end of your swim, it's actually going to push out all the water from the speaker. So that's a huge plus for those of you that like swimming. But for me, I'm more of a runner and a walker, and I have to say I was really impressed with this watch. Super impressed. GPS held on to a signal really great. I had no problem with the signal. It never dropped the GPS signal, and it was on par with my Garmin device in terms of metrics. For those of you that run, for those of you that like to track your running, this is definitely a watch for you, and it's really worth the $50 over the original TicWatch Pro, just because it is a smoother experience. Now, the TicWatch Pro also did an excellent job with GPS. In general, Wear OS devices have great GPS chips and management in them, but the heart rate was great, the calories, your miles per hour, everything was exactly the same. And once you're done with your run, you can hit share and you will be able to share it. It also just keeps track here, so it shows you your progress. If you have weekly goals, it'll tell you when you actually hit them, when you achieve them, and then you have all your other metrics over here, so your indoor run, freestyle workouts as well. Now, the indoor run, I've never come across a watch that actually kept up with the treadmill and gave me the exact same metrics, but it was about 0.2 of a mile off. It is a great way just to keep track of your health goals and what you want to achieve. So for that, I still give it a thumbs up. But outdoor with GPS, no issues with the GPS whatsoever, guys. And I ran under trees, I ran under buildings, I did everything I could to try and get this watch to lose signal, and it never did. So really a great watch for those of you that want to track your runs, that want to track your health progress, that maybe want to get more in shape. A smartwatch will definitely help you with that. So when you are running, guys, this is what you'll see in your main screen. You have your time, you also have your miles down there, you have your heart rate, you also have your calories, and then your speed right like that. When it switches over to the essential mode, and again, this helps you save battery. With my 1 hour run though, I did use about 15%, but you do see your heart rate at the top. This is your duration. You also see the amount of calories you've burnt. You'll see your distance, and then you'll see your average pace right down here. And I think this is a nice amount of information. It's a great amount of information. It's really all you need when you run. And if you flip your wrist, it'll switch to this, so you can see just a little bit more information if you wanted to. And when you do finish your run or whatever exercise you do, guys, it just gives you a little summary just like this. Health tracking on this was really great. I still would recommend that you use the Tic Health, but you can throw on anything that you want if you don't really want to use the Tic Health suite of applications, but it gives you a nice graphical representation of your steps, of your goals, of everything that you've done. Lastly, what I want to talk about, for those of you that lift weights, you have a freestyle mode here, and I think it's a really nice addition. I think a lot more fitness apps should have this freestyle. Basically what you can do, you can track your sets. So if you want to do set by set, you can just pause it. You can keep going, set number 2, set number 3. So it'll track your rest time, it'll track your actual lifting time, it'll track a lot of information, give you your heart rate, etc., etc. So for those of you that really want to maintain that 30-second to 45-second rest period, this is going to help you. When you finish that set, just pause it and then watch the countdown. When it's time to go again, just hit play. And then when you're done with it, it's going to give you a nice summary again of all of your sets. And then on the main app, you get a little more detailed view. So really a thumbs up for Mobvoi to including a freestyle mode. That's something that I use on the regular. This being a Wear OS device, you have the Google Assistant, you have your Google feed, you got everything here. And it's just a really smooth experience. What's the weather tomorrow?
City tomorrow, there'll be thunderstorms with a high of 77 and a low of 69 degrees Fahrenheit.
Who's the 35th president of the United States?
John F. Kennedy was the 35th president of the United States.
So really cool, guys. The Google Assistant is something that you can access just by swiping right, or if you hold down on the top button here, it gives you direct access to the Google Assistant. And that's really why I always recommend Wear OS over other platforms. If you are Google heavy, if you really like using Google services, you really can't beat it. This just pairs well with every app. So it just makes the overall experience really great, guys, having the Google Assistant. When you compare it to other assistants out there, nothing can really beat it. You can take phone calls with this. You do have a speaker built in here, and you do have your microphone right over there. So taking phone calls on your wrist is something that you can do. If you're in a super loud environment, you will have to bring this close to your ears, but that's with every wearable. The speaker is just not loud enough to go over New York City traffic. But if you're in the car, if you're just at home washing dishes or doing whatever, and you get a phone call, you can answer directly from your wrist. You don't have to go searching for your phone. Every smartwatch, in my opinion, should have the ability to take phone calls with a speaker. That's just a basic function of a smartwatch, and this one includes that for sure. You also have an ambient sensor on here as well, guys, so it will lower and brighten the screen depending on your surroundings, or you can go in and manually adjust it as well. So let's just talk about the one main thing that really separates this watch from the competitors on the market, and that happens to be the LCD screen. They call it essential mode, and what that basically does is it basically turns everything off. It basically ensures that nothing's really going to drain your battery if you really need to save battery. And again, I was at 3%, but I switched to essential mode and I had no issues with it. But what I really like about it, you have settings in the watch to automatically turn it on. So if you are running low, it'll automatically switch. And that's really a great feature, because what this means, this actually means that you will not have a brick on your wrist. You will not have a smartwatch that does not turn on because you ran out of battery. So automatically at any interval that you want. I usually leave it at 5% just because that's when I really know things are dire. If I don't switch on that essential mode, I'm really not going to be able to use this thing, and I'm not going to be able to get my time. And that's what a watch should do at its very basic form, is tell you the time. So in essential mode, what it actually does, it will tell you the time, it will give you your steps, it will track your heartbeat, but it does not have any communication with your phone, so you will not get any notification. But it does still monitor and record your heart rate and your step counting, so that's a huge plus. And if you leave it on essential mode, you can get that 30 days that they promise. But really, guys, it's a smartwatch. We want it to be smart. We want it to do what we need to do. So that being said, how is battery life on the TicWatch Pro LTE? And again, I did not use it on LTE. I do not have Verizon. The minute this gets opened up and unlocked for use on another carrier, such as T-Mobile, that's what I use on my cell phone, is T-Mobile. I'll go ahead and get a plan and test it out. But the essential mode here gives you that 2 to 30 days, really depending. And that 5% that I talked about, that 3% that I was on the other day, that actually made it through the entire night, and I still had about 2% through the next day. But of course, I wanted to charge it up, so it just shows you that it really just sips battery. This LCD does not take much at all. But without essential mode, you'll get about 2 days of battery life, and it takes only about an hour to charge, so it's not really a huge deal. I'm really happy with this watch at 2 days of battery life, plus that essential mode. That means you're never going to be without a smartwatch on your wrist. You're never not going to be able to know the time. That's something, again, that a watch should do in its basic form, is tell you the time and track your steps. That's what we like. That's what we need to know. We need to know the time, and we are kind of obsessed with our steps these days. At least I am. Let me know down in the comments what you think. So I could really recommend this watch, guys. That extra ½ gigabyte of RAM, making it 1 gig in total, just made this a super fluid, super smooth watch. Definitely an upgrade over the ½ gig of RAM that was on the previous generations. And it's a really smooth experience. I had no issues with this whatsoever. Mobvoi is a company that's really keeping Wear OS alive, and I thank them for it. They keep giving us more and more smartwatches to choose from, and they get better and better with every iteration. The TicWatch Pro 4G is no exception to that. It's one of their best looking smartwatches in my opinion, and it ticks all the boxes. You have great battery life with this essential mode here. You also have 2 days of full battery life, and to me, I think that's pretty good on a smartwatch when you're using it all day with text messages, calls, and just playing around with the watch. So for me, this is definitely worth it, and the $50 over the regular TicWatch Pro, even if you're not going to use it for 4G, the TicWatch Pro 4G LTE is really worth it, and it's going to be a great experience for you guys. But let me know down in the comments below what you think. I really appreciate you watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.